Good morning, everyone. Welcome. Thank you so much for that beautiful welcome video. It really puts us in the right frame of mind. And we look forward to day 2. We had a wonderful day yesterday, and I think we are all ready and excited for the second day. So welcome to all from the different provinces and wherever you are, whether you're together or whether you are on your own. So thank you, Chanel. I think we'll share screen. So yesterday we introduced the concept of flocking. And I think by the end of the day, we really got a good sense of flocking. I think many people were making up their own little words, and it was just beautiful to see. So we have 4 days of forum. Day 1 was about forming the flock. And just a reminder that that was all about autonomy and taking responsibility. Then we have day 2, which is today, and we are looking at the theme of loyal to our purpose. So it's all about alignment and moving in the same direction. Then a reminder about where we're heading. So day 3 is all about honking is helpful. So honking is the sound that the geese make, just as a reminder. Honking is helpful. So it's all about cohesion and staying close to your neighbor. And then day 4, which is Friday, is about further together as leaders, shared leadership and taking turns at the front. So we wanted to just orientate you so you know where we are at in the process, and you can look at the program for more detail to see what we have designed in terms of each of these themes that we are working with. Okay, so today's loyal to our purpose, and the word here, the key word is alignment and moving in the same direction. So I'm just going to share the program outline for today. Okay, so we've got a small creative offering after this, and then we'll do our little check-in and our reflective learning and networking in the smaller groups. Then we move into institutional videos on manual implementation, and that's all about where we are right now. Then we go into groups again just to talk about that. And by then we'll be ready for a tea break for 30 minutes. And then the session after tea is really about what we're doing, learning and aspiring to. And this is where you can make choices. I think people have already chosen where they want to be. So we've got 3 parallel sessions: the future of collections and data management, showcasing your science, and then cultivating young leaders discussion. So that's what we are looking at for the day. And then we'll have our checkout activity and our closing for the day. Okay, so that's basically what the program looks like. So I think we can go into the little creative offering. Thank you very much. Okay, so we hope that that has also put you in the mood for the day and got us into a sense of what today is about. And I hope you were able to feel the experience fully and to get that sense of alignment. Yeah, Ilse, it is quite emotional, I know, just to be part of that. Okay. So we're going into our small check-in groups, and of course you can share a little bit more about your feelings and what you got out of that video, the murmuration video that we just shared. And so I'm going to thank Chanel. So Chanel will put us in groups in a few minutes, and we'll ask Fulu to put the questions in the chat. So reflecting on yesterday, these are the same questions we used yesterday. What did you love? What did you learn? And then what is lingering for you? What's staying with you? What questions come up? What's still niggling you? What concerns you? What do you need to think more about? And then what gratitude can you offer? Those are some of the guiding questions that we're asking you to look at in your small check-in group. And we'd like people to please join the check-ins. You are really missing out on something if you're not able to join, but please try so that we can actually see that no one is being left behind. And if you have any problems, just let Chanel know and she'll reassign you. Sometimes people get thrown out due to connection, and you can just tell Chanel and she'll put you back into the group. Okay, so enjoy your group check-in. Okay, welcome back. It's lovely to see all your beautiful faces and the groups sitting there together. So we really are encouraging everyone to use their camera as much as they can, if it's possible. It just helps to humanize the space and make us feel that we are indeed together. Okay, so we'd like to just hear from a few groups. You know, how was your check-in? What came up in your check-in? You can put it in the chat, or you can just unmute and speak. So we'll just take a few comments.
Good morning, everyone. So in our group, someone just shared someone's contribution from yesterday's check-in, and they said that it stuck with them and they just wanted us to just discuss it a little bit. So they said when they watched the video, what they wanted to see was a representation of how the NSCF impacts the public, which they felt like that was not reflected on the group, because the NSCF is sort of funded by the government, and the aim is to help, is for the public to reach the collection. So how is the NSCF impacting just the public, not just people that are like scientists and stuff like that? So my response to that was the NSCF was part of the SciFest. So in that way, they were doing an outreach to learners in the schools. So, and also it was also a matter of sort of we were trying to figure out what this person, because now we were talking about something that someone else said. So now we were trying to figure out if this person wanted the NSCF to actually include the partner institutions in this video, that that video from yesterday, or they just wanted the NSCF to just include what they do with the public, or it should have been what other institutions, how the other partner institutions are reaching the public. So yeah, so that was the
Thanks, Tanya. Yeah, thank you. That's a great question, and I think we'll definitely keep that in mind. And let's see what else unfolds today. You know, we'll be watching another video of all the institutions stitched together. So maybe we'll see some more there, and there will be some more discussions today. Fulu, I see your hand is up. I also see Christina posted in the chat about the group verbalizing a need to reach communities, both children and adults, and that education is essential. and the message needs to spread far and wide and in our own communities. Okay, Fulu?
I just want to reply to what Tanya was saying. So in the video, there is a section where we talk about the value of collections, and that's where the public outreach came in. Maybe it's not so clear, but it is there.
Thank you, Fulu. Okay. All right. Any last comments? And then we're going to move on. Okay, I see Mashlatse saying the group was very enthusiastic about the competition. Okay, good. Great. Okay, so if there aren't any comments, any further comments, and you can still put it in the chat, you know, anything that emerged from your check-in, then I'm going to hand over to Nick. So Nick is going to play the video now, and so here we are looking at all the institutions. Okay, Nick, over to you.
Morning, everybody. For those who don't know me, I'm Nick. I'm the Fulu over on the BBSA and just learning over here at the NSCF. So for me, they said there's just one video, but actually there's three because you guys sent in an overwhelming amount of content, which was quite amazing. I feel like I actually know some of you thanks to these things. It was interesting the way you guys all heading in the same direction, the alignment, loyal to our purpose as the theme is for the day, but you all interpreted the brief in different ways. Some had their story told in music or words or pictures, some in music and words and pictures, some spoke about the collections manual, some spoke about the history of their museums, some spoke about the iconic specimens. It was all quite overwhelming. Amazing but overwhelming. So we stitched it into 3 separate videos so that you can get a taste of everything going on each time.
This is the Islanda Museum. We are a province-aided museum situated in Islanda in the Eastern Cape.
Hi there, I'm Kevin Cole, a Principal Natural Scientist at the Islanda Museum. I'm very privileged to curate an iconic natural history specimen, possibly one of the top zoological specimens in any museum in the world, the coelacanth, the holotype. This is the actual specimen that was saved for science by Marge Courtney Latimer in 1938. Distinctive in having limb-like fins, having a very unique tail, armor-like scales that are very rough, and the internal anatomy and physiology is equally intriguing. So we're very proud to have this specimen, a huge draw card for the Islanda Museum, both for local and international tourists.
I'm Mary Cole. I'm the malacologist and I've been here since 1988. I'm responsible for curation, research and education. Our collection is of mollusks and we have a wet collection with over 4,000 lots and a dry collection with over 19,000 specimen lots. So altogether we have approximately 130,000 specimens, which is a very large collection in South Africa. I have assistance from several people with the curation and data capture of the collection.
Hi, my name is Donwabo Pepe. I have a BSc Honours in Zoology. I've been doing the voluntary work at the Islanda Museum since May, and I've been assisting the malacologists. We are currently moving specimens from rearranging specimens since they were a bit crowded. Now we're trying to rearrange them. Okay, I've been also working with Mr. Wicker's collection, which the samples are a bit damaged, as you can see. Now the idea is to rewrite the labels.
So my name is Nondobe Gompekile. I'm a library assistant. I have been assisting malacology with capturing data from the collection Lonwabo is working on into a spreadsheet, scanning all the field data sheets, numbering the slide collection and capturing all the data for each slide.
So for research, I focus mostly on land snails because not much is known about them in the province. And at the moment, I'm working on describing some new species. In terms of the manual, I've been going through the workflows with Mahlatsi and Maxine, and we have identified where there are aspects in the manual that we maybe need to focus on improving. So we've been working through that.
I am Chris Bill. I am the taxidermist here at East London Museum. I curate bone collection and data capturing for malacology on to specify.
I'm Phil Whittington. I'm the ornithologist and curator of the birdskin collection. For the last few months I've been transferring birdskin specimens from our old wooden cabinets made in the 1950s to these steel cabinets which were bought with money sourced by the Natural Sciences Collection Facility. And these will hopefully provide a home for the birdskin collection in perpetuity.
I'm Jonathan Bolts, one of East London's conservators. Part of my job and function is to ensure the macro environment of the natural history site is looked after. This includes relative humidity, temperature and light exposure.
So the Bodas Herbarium was started by Harry Bodas himself, who came to South Africa when he was very young. The Bodas is particularly rich in type specimen, considering that it's actually a fairly small herbarium. On a global scale, we have 350,000 specimens.
The digital preservation of the collection is a major concern of ours at the moment, so this year we focus on the data management chapter of the manual, dealing with all aspects of the capture, storage and accessibility of specimen images and database records. We documented our protocols and produced workflow diagrams for various processes, including specimen imaging, data capture and editing, georeferencing, data publishing and embargoes, and managing data and image requests. We are still suffering the after effects of last year's fire, so a major challenge this year has been ongoing renovations to the herbarium, which has been a cause of major disruptions to all aspects of our normal workflow. Another challenge has been locating some of our important historical documents, like the old accession registers that are stored in the UCT library archives.
Professor Mahala. I'm from Amatole Museum. We are in King Williamstown, Eastern Cape. Our museum was called King Williamstown Naturalist Society, and then it was changed to Kafarian Museum. Then after New South Africa, in 1999, we renamed the museum to Amatole Museum, referring to the curves that range in the mountains. The museum started in 1884 by the naturalists of the King Williamstown. They came together. They formed the society to collect natural history. Then we've got a large collection. We are rated number 3rd in Southern Africa, and also we are rated number 2 in South Africa. That means we've got big collection. When it comes to Melvora capensis, we are rated number 1. If you work on those otters, please come to us. I would love to work with you. And also we've got other animals as well that you can work on, but we specifically work on the land mammals. That is, we focus only on terrestrial mammals. Our museum is known to be a home of Hubeta, which was a wandering hippo from KwaZulu-Natal, St. Lucia, up here. We've got her in our galleries. We've got other big animals like wolfsack, that is our Cape buffalo. We've got elephants in our displays that were collected in the Adu Elephant Park. The most person who collected a part of the collection was the curator called Captain Guy Shortridge, and then the collection itself is called after him. And also, the collection, we've got 2 types of collection: the dry specimens, and we've got the wet collection, where we keep our specimens in alcohol. We're using glass jars, of which we transferred them from plastic jars. By the help of NSCF, we are very thankful because we used the plastic jars, which is now in process of replacing everything. And also we've got the wooden cabinets that some of our collection is transferred from the wooden to steel cabinets, and also NSCF came up and gave us some funding for that. And also we've got the fumigation that is happening in the museum. We've got the people, the specialists from outside that fumigate our collection. And we're thankful to the NSCF for that, because we're not only focusing only on the collection, only on mammal collection, but to the entire museum. And as well, sometimes we do our fumigation inside, where we burn pills, where we sprinkle all over, so that we make sure that there are no insects that are coming to our collection. We've got some challenges for sure. We have a shortage of staff, and now we have our collection stuck there without having any people who are working on it. It's only me who's doing mostly research. So we need hands to help us to transfer the specimens from the wooden cabinets to the steel cabinets, and also who can take care of our collections. Thank you very much for being there, NSCF, for us. And also we thank the Department of Sports, Recreation, Arts and Culture for giving us some funding as well. Thank you very much. Bye.
My name is Nkosenat Mazungola. I work for the South African Institute for Aquatic Biodiversity, SIAP. I am Collections Manager of the SIAP's Collections Division platform. SIAP is situated in Makhanda, a small rural town in the Eastern Cape province of South Africa. SIAP is the national facility of the National Research Foundation. We receive a parliamentary grant, which is administered by the Department of Science and Innovation.
The Collection Management Center has grown significantly. We have 3 new appointed staff members, which are Thabo Siziba, Phumzandaleni, and Sashni Reddy. 2 of these people will be responsible for the improvement of the biobank. 1 of them will be responsible for the OHS management. The 2 more staff members in the biobank will assist with reducing the workload that we're currently having. Seshni Reddy, who will be the biobank coordinator, will be starting on the 1st of November, and Pumzan Daleni, who is the SIAB PDP postdoctoral fellow. Manual implementation in the biobank is not that difficult because most of the things that are in the manual we are already doing. But there are few that we are currently not doing. For example, when the gift is sent to the scientist or student, they do not send the results of their DNA analysis to us together with their publication so that we can have records of them. Implementing the NSCF manual has most of advantages. We do follow NCF manual procedure to send and receive loans, but the only difference is that we don't take pictures of the specimens. We only note it down under remarks whether the specimens is or are in good condition. We email a loan invoices with spreadsheet reflecting the lots to be shipped to borrowers. We only keep hard copies of MTAs in our file. We don't think it's necessary to print the invoice and export permits. Yes, keeping copies of export permits might help as evidence in case one of the documents gets lost on its way to the receiver. The manual requires us to send loan expiry reminders 3 months prior to the loan due date. We are dealing with dozens of loans and some backdates as early as 1995. The manual also suggests that borrowers need to request loan extensions 30 days prior to their expiry dates. As a solution to this, we are currently working on a system that will send a notification to the borrower when their loan is about to expire. This will also enable them to ask for loan extensions, and for those who are eligible, their loans will be approved. The role of the OHS manager is to provide support to the collections manager and his team in the evaluation of safety and health risks and the identification of applicable policies, procedures, and appropriate precautions, which include reviewing safe work procedures and ensuring that they are relevant and fit for purpose. It is to also provide specialist input in ensuring that safety, health, and environmental management systems are implemented at the collections. It is to also provide access to safety records, including training records for field staff. It is to also implement a risk management process and techniques to achieve compliance and minimize loss such as damage to property, illness, or injuries. The overall review of the collection management course, webinars, and tutorials are very good initiative because they help us to see and learn how other museums are doing things, which helps us improve on our work.
Here is a very brief overview of the fossil collections of the University of the Witwatersrand and some reflections on the implementation of the NSCF Collections Management and Conservation Manual. This is the Evolutionary Studies Institute on the East Campus of the University of the Witwatersrand. Here we store some of the largest fossil collections in the world, consisting of substantial paleontological and archaeofaunal resources. The collections are managed by a very small team, namely the curator, myself, Bernard Zipfel, and the collections manager, Sefalani Jira, and also assisted by a team of technical staff, primarily preparators. There are extensive collection storage areas that are rapidly running out of space, and some of the largest therapsid or mammal-like reptile collections in the world, as some of the largest fossil plant collections in the world. There are extensive Cenozoic collections representing fossil material from the past 5 million years. And famously also, probably the world's largest hominin collection, consisting of our immediate fossil ancestors and relatives, as well as various fossil primates. This is probably the best facility of its kind in the world. Some of the iconic fossils we have, and quite frankly, there are more than we could mention right here, but the most famous, undoubtedly, is the Taung skull or Taung child, the very first early hominin ever found. Here you can see it being photographed by the NSCF photographer Ilse van der Merwe. And here are the famous Roy-dry dinosaur eggs of the species Massospondylus incarnatus. These represent the world's oldest egg. In terms of implementing the Collections Management and Conservation Manual, we have done very well with this for many years, but there are a few areas that we are touching on in more focus. Recently, we were delighted that the policy document of the University of the Witwatersrand for the so-called academic collections has been approved by Senate, and we made sure this is in line with our departmental policy on collections, as well as all the other documents that are involved in our collections. One of the areas of the Management and Conservation Manual that we have touched on is that of ethics, which has become highlighted in terms of the ethics of collecting destructive sampling, and things that come out of the woodwork, like people trying to create passports for some of our hominin fossils. Also, the repatriation of material that has been taken unethically or stolen from other countries. We have also received some assistance from the NSCF in terms of digitization. Here, a really important project, the photography project, where the NSC photographer has photographed all our Karoo vertebrate holotypes. And here you can see the neotype of Massospondylus being photographed. Also, we are receiving some assistance with the very chaotic Cenozoic collections. In this instance, it's the Sterkfontein faunal collections that have been neglected for many years, and we are receiving substantial assistance from the NSCF, and we're able to get one of our postgraduate students to assist us in organizing these collections. We are delighted that these collections are then available for our students, for our international visiting scientists and local scientists, and are available for exhibitions. We are happy to say that the curatorial staff also advanced themselves, and here's Dr. Sefalani Jira on graduation day received his PhD, which has gone a long way in empowering us to take good care of our collections. Thank you for listening.
Sorry for that, folks. I did say this stuff can be a bit overwhelming, but I hope you got a taste of a few of the museums and herbaria that fall under the NSCF.
My name is Terence Bellingham. My colleagues at the museum where I work at, the Albany Museum in Makanda, call me Velapi. The collections that we hold that are special, we've got a very good collection of thrips, we've got a very good collection of wasps and bees, and a very good collection of cicadas. These are kind of the highlights of the collection that I work in here at Terrestrial Invertebrates. I specifically research and work on pollinating flies. Yes, and with regards to manual implementation, my favorite thing about having a manual is you've got something that everybody can refer to, that we can all work from a common, work towards a common goal from the same place, using the same set of standards. And it is only me in this entire collection. But yes, manual implementation is going as best as I can, all by myself. Thanks guys, looking forward to seeing you all at the forum. Cheers.
Hi everyone, my name is Someleze Mtua. I'm a curation technical assistant for the Natural Science Collections Facility. I'm working at the Shoaling Herbarium. I'm taking images of the plant specimens. I'm doing the data capturing and also doing the physical curation. Thanks.
My name is Pindiwe Ntoko. I am a production scientist at the Albany Museum, and I'll hand over to my colleague to give a brief explanation of what we do at the museum.
Good. Hi everyone, my name is Musa Mlambo. I am here at the Department of Freshwater and Invertebrates. We are currently working to finalize this loan, for example, of the kind of work we're doing, that we are sending to Europe, in Switzerland, a loan of Betis mayflies. My work personally is on, what do I work on? On various things. Personally, of course, large brachiopods are my bread and butter, but we work to curate and look after a vast collection of freshwater invertebrates that's collected all over the country, and some specimens from outside the country. So yes, I'm happy to have my new colleague here, Dr. Ntoko, who's replaced our former colleague Helen, who's gone. So we're working together here to look after the collection.
I'm Dr. Rob Gies of the Albany Museum's Earth Science Department, and I lead up the Devonian Lab. The department also has a Karoo study group led up by Rose Prairie. Our work at the Devonian Lab is about the rocks from 359 to 420 million years ago. But we have a special focus on the Lake Devonian, including the waterlet farm Lagerstadt, which is one of the most important sites in the world of its age. And that's the site from just outside Makanda, where we have Africa's earliest four-legged animals by 18 million years. And these are very important in understanding the origin of animals coming onto land and their descent from fish. We have a big display on the Walkley farm, and Kekela uses the display to teach school children about that. And we also have Hilo helps with the lab, and so does Sean Johnston. And then we have postgraduate students doing research, including Chris Harris studying the rocks around Canada, Ron Nels studying arm-plated fishes, and Kate Reddy, who has been studying invertebrates, but will be moving on to studying Lake Devonian seaweeds next year as part of her master's program.
Hi, good morning from Kimberley and the McGregor Museum. I'm standing here on a pathway that leads from our main building, where the KMG Herbarium is situated, to the Duncan Cronin Gallery on my right hand side. And this is a Friday morning, actually a quiet Friday morning, because we are in the middle of the school holidays, but we are so thankful for the past few weeks and months that we had a lot of visitors from the schools and the members of the public. And I want to invite you to come and join me and have a look at our KMG Herbarium, our botany collection, and follow me. The Alexander McGregor Museum Herbarium Kimberley, or KMG Herbarium, was founded in 1908 by Mariah Wilman, first director of the McGregor Museum. Marie Lodewijk has recently joined us as a volunteer. Here she is busy adding barcodes to our existing specimens. She shows strong attention to detail and has already been a great asset to the herbarium. During the past 12 months, we have focused on the following chapters or sections of the manual: Number 1, collection and data management. The digitization of our existing specimen records using the Brahms database have now been completed. Data is systematically checked, working on one plant family at a time to ensure the highest possible levels of data quality. We have also started georeferencing our specimen records in September using the georeferencing tool, and it's really a wonderful tool that helped us tremendously in reducing the time spent on each record, but also increasing the accuracy of the georeferencing. We have also implemented our integrated pest management plan, which includes the regular checking of our pest monitoring traps. The temperature and the humidity within the collection are also checked on a regular basis and documented. Some of the specimens have been reorganized within the cupboards, and the numbers on the cupboards and their location inside the cupboards have been added to the database for ease of access. Although I have not enrolled for the course, I have tried to attend all the webinars presented these past few months. We all know that well-known phrase on how do you eat the elephant? One bite at a time, but it's sometimes difficult to know where to start. The templates and tables provided as part of the assignments has been so valuable. Thank you so much that we have access to these wonderful resources as well. I want to close with a beautiful quote I heard recently. If your legs are tired, run with your heart. It is a privilege to work with people with so much heart and passion for their work. Thank you NSCF for all your hard work and all the support.
Welcome to the Agricultural Research Council Plant Health and Protection Collection. You will find us just off the R573 in Roodeplaat, Pretoria, Gauteng. We have 5 collections: entomology, nematology, arachnology spiders, arachnology mites, and mycology.
My name is Khoto Modise. I'm a research technician at entomology unit. Certain protocols are time-consuming with little staff to implement. The process of implementing policies in the manual, change-resistant culture and attitude, limited staff to implement change in the collection. Webinars are very informative and useful to the collection. Improvement of collection standards, centralized access to data, broader perspective from different collections, enhanced knowledge on collection management.
I am Dr. Chantal Gergen. I'm a junior researcher at the Nematology Unit at Biosystematics. I'm also the curator of the National Collection of Nematodes. In the National Collection of Nematodes, the manual is implemented chapter by chapter, and most of the processes were already in place. The challenges that we experienced was time constraints and the lack of reference to a slide collection. But the manual did give me a better understanding of the collection curation, a better collection management planning, standardization and tracking of collection documentation, and collection workflow activities were streamlined.
Hello, I'm Maggie Manyaza, a research assistant, and I manage the National Collection of Akari. SOPs and related documents were updated, health and safety issues were addressed, updated the disaster management plan, and improved and simplified daily tasks in the collection. Legal and confidentiality obstacles frequency of the webinars and assignments, highlighted gaps in the current SOPs and related documentation, emphasized good collection management practices, polished team player skills.
My name is Grace Gwinda, Senior Research Technician in Mycology Unit. SOPs are in place, reviewed and amended as the course progressed. Hard copies were printed and filed in the folders. Approval of documents in the ARC may be time-consuming. The diversity of activities in the collections leads to gradually implementation of the manual, but feedback is given to managers on a monthly basis. The course assists us in discussing the manual. It gives us opportunity to ask questions from collection curators. It addresses neglected collection management areas and improve on existing areas.
Thank you from all of us and enjoy the rest of the forum.
Hello and welcome from the KwaZulu-Natal Museum. In our Natural Science Department, we're split into 3 divisions. The Entomology Division, focusing on flies, the history going back more than 70 years of fly research. The Malacology Division, with the history originally of marine malacology, followed by terrestrial malacology in the last 20 years. And lastly, our General Collections Division. This division focuses mostly on earthworms and spiders, where the collections have a lot of types and a lot of historical research has been done in these areas.
When we started reading and implementing the manual in 2021, the KwaZulu-Natal Museum already had a heritage assets management policy that covers all assets of the institution. The Natural Science Department also had a collections management policy specific to our collection. Both these policies are reviewed every 2 years. The museum policy already had most of the policies and procedures. We only amended some policies and procedures and created workflows that were missing and were relevant to our collection.
As the museum, we're already doing great. You see, we already had the test traps and the data loggers.
Hi everyone. So basically this is how I use my manual on a daily basis. So I use my QGIS, which is a georeferencing tool, and then to georeference records, and I use OpenRefine to clean our data set. That data set goes to your platforms like GBIF, where we share data in that platform.
I suppose you are the only one here at the museum who does this. So what happens when you leave?
So we do have a manual for that, where it does have guidelines to create workflows. Yeah.
For me, one of the highlights really has been about the support that this manual and implementation has given us to do our work properly, and also feedback to the current collection management policy. The challenge has been though that they feel that how do you balance the time to do the course, do your work, while still attending the field trips. The big part that I enjoyed the most was the tutorial and the webinars, because these platforms have been a way for us to connect, although virtually, and learn from one another. In one word, what I can say about this book, it is awesome.
Informative.
Knowledgeable.
Welcome to the Buse Herbarium. My name is Benny Wittebeer. I'm the curator of the herbarium here. We are based on the Pietermaritzburg campus of the University of KwaZulu-Natal. Our herbarium is the 4th largest in South Africa, with about 225,000 specimens. We have 3 staff members here, myself, Christina Potgieter, the collections manager, and Prudence Magwaza. Apart from the staff members, we have benefited from interns and project staff, such as, for instance, Sifiso Mnati and Tanya Mate, who have been here to include 4 orphaned collections. Simone Chetty has also been with us for quite a while on various projects. Several of our, almost all of our interns have found jobs in the museum sector, and some are now based in the Bolus Herbarium, the Moss Herbarium, and even the Kruger National Park.
As many of you are aware, the Bolus Herbarium has undergone expansion. Most recently, the funds are being curated and shifted to the Phycology Herbarium. This is a work in progress, and with older collections, there's always something exciting to discover. We were fortunate enough to come across ferns from the 1800s. They are still well preserved and will form part of the iconic specimens housed at Bolus.
The implementation of a collection management manual has played a crucial role in the integration of the collection, where we have seen the integration of wood herbarium, tree herbarium, condolent herbarium, as well as the former, what we call it, herbarium, being integrated perfectly using the guideline from the collection management manual.
Involvement in the collections management and conservation working group, we've actually been implementing some of the collections changes already. We had put new blinds funded by the NSCF to prevent UV exposure to our specimens. We've upgraded the lighting sources on our microscopes, and we've also got new visitors kits for visitors that use our microscopes. With integrated pest management, we've tried to trial some different types of sticky traps to see what can work specifically for herbaria, but that's a work in progress. And we also stopped our regular fumigation in favor of rather doing checks and only fumigating when necessary. And then we also control pest control as specimens come into the herbarium more carefully as well.
I have 20 years working experience in Bolus Herbarium. Since I started doing the collection management course, I have a greater understanding for collections care and the risk associated with the collection.
Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and you will be visiting us sometime soon. In the meantime, please do check out our Facebook page and our website. Bye!
Welcome to the National Museum in Bloemfontein. I will take you through the collections of the Terrestrial Invertebrates Department, which consists of the Agarology, Arachnology and Entomology collections. Our collections are in the basement, and mostly due to the emergency exit, there is a high risk of flooding during rainstorms. Here is the Entomology collection, and Germaine will tell you about the IPM strategy.
Here I am demonstrating how we clean and check for pests. So each drawer is taken out, placed nicely on the table. We also open just to check for damages or indicators. This is done at least after 3 months. Then when there's nothing, we close, we check and we clear out the dust particles. We also put it back nicely, and this is done for each drawer and all the cabinets that are there in the collection area as shown there. We also have sticky traps that are placed against the wall just to also check what is moving in the collection area.
We bought dehumidifiers with funds from the NSCF. Although the humidity in the freezer is not very high, during the rainy season it may increase pretty fast, affecting this dry collection. We also bought humidity and temperature meters. During the implementation of the manual, we realized that our documentation and filing system is not up to standard. All the collections now have files, which include hard copies of the policies we have, as well as SOPs for sampling, accessioning, documentation, loans and salvaging after disasters. Now all this information was in our heads, but it was not written down, which is quite important if there is a fast turnover of staff. We also wrote collections overviews, which are published on our website. Collection object forms and donation forms are also filed in this folder, as well as permits for sampling. This is Trudy Paper, the collection manager for agrology and arachnology. We have implemented a heritage asset movement register placed in each collection for when specimens are taken out of the collection, and it has to be signed back when it's been put back in the collection. And as I said, we've done this for all three of the collections. This is Jermaine Magwai, and she's doing the collections management course. Tell us about your experiences of it.
Hi everyone. This course is very informative and helpful. It gives the ins and outs of the collections, and with the webinars and discussion sessions and assignments, it has been helpful in highlighting the importance of collection documentation and how to safeguard them. I've also been exposed to trainings, the specified training, and I've been able to attend the dual referencing session, and all of those things, they help in terms of my personal growth, and I've been grateful to be able to be exposed with other institutes. So NSCF, thank you so much for the opportunity.
All right, folks. Well, another set of wonderful videos. Any issues of mine, I assure you the originals were quite amazing. So we're into the home stretch now. So just a little bit longer, a little bit more edutainment, and then you guys can have tea. So the third video, the final video, will be a word from the people over at Sanby, and then the Tsong, Durban Natural Science Museum, and Bayworld. Let's see.
Sanby, being the hosting institution for the NSCF, has 3 herbaria: PRE, which is the National Herbarium based in Pretoria, MBG, which is the Compton Herbarium based in Kirstenbosch, and NH, which is the KwaZulu-Natal Herbarium based in Durban. All have been member institutions of the network since its inception, and thus were eager to ensure compliance with the manual across all the 3 herbaria. The 3 Sanby herbaria embarked on a journey of the manual's chapter implementation last year. In this video, they will each share their achievements, challenges, and what is still to follow. First up, let's see how the KwaZulu-Natal Herbarium has been doing.
Our approach was to divide the various chapters amongst ourselves. The staff members each chose at least 1 chapter based on their strengths and experience. And thereafter, we organized monthly MS Teams meetings where we would focus on 2 chapters per month. And the chapter leads would present what we had as the KZN Herbarium to meet the standards, and also to identify the gaps based on the NSCF manual. And they would present workflow diagrams as well as documents, and staff members had a chance to provide input, suggestions, and refine the draft. And so far we've covered more than half of the chapters, and we look forward to completing all chapters, at least the first draft of all chapters, before the end of this year. It's been a wonderful experience. Thank you very much.
As a result of our consultations with Audrey Ndaba, it became very clear to us ethics determined not only how we were going to carry ourselves within our jobs, but also our attitude towards the responsibility of actually seeing the task of manual chapter implementation through. We had already been addressing the colonial reform issue by both having university students from previously disadvantaged backgrounds for courses with us, and newly delving deeper into school outreach programs. Crucial to both newly appointed and existing colleagues is understanding our policies. This may be the responsibility of the manager, but we shall all now be playing a role by being present in recap sessions as new members are being inducted. Additionally, it is recognized that we do not have a direct ethics policy, so one was drafted.
For plant specimens to be accepted in the herbarium, you need to have the correct permit, land ownership consent, as well as the plant identification form needs to be filled. The challenge could be the process of acquiring the collecting permit, which might take some time, but the permit is a requirement. It is important to have information both digitally as well as hard copies.
The collection care chapter of the manual speaks to the conditions under which the collection should be kept. Having been operational for over a century, we do comply with most things. However, as evidenced by the video, we surely lack in providing adequate space and a clutter and pest-free environment for our collection, despite numerous fumigations now. We hope all these will be resolved by the expected extensions of the building and moving staff out of the collection as suggested in the manual. A workflow for the upgrade and maintenance of the wet collection was also developed. For the KwaZulu-Natal herbarium, there were 3 risks to the collection that were identified, namely fire, temperature, along with pests and physical forces. A workflow was drawn up for fire, pests, temperature, as well as a checklist for the 3 risks identified. The checklist will be assigned to a person for monthly checks. Prior to the NSCF manual implementation, this had not been done. The workflows will be implemented by the respective teams responsible for that section.
This chapter focuses on issues related to health and safety of the staff or users of the collection to ensure they are protected from injury resulting from their work. The KwaZulu-Natal herbarium proved to be compliant with the basic steps that are essential for all institutions in terms of health and safety of the employees. To implement Chapter 8 of the manual, I first had to identify the current state of health and safety in the center, going through all the documents to identify gaps and devise improvements to close them. The challenge was to go through all the documents about health and safety of the center, not just the collection, in a short space of time. So far, we have established all the management role players to implement and maintain the safety of the employees. A lot of improvement still needs to be done to fully comply with the NSCF manual.
The documentation chapter is a collation of all the other chapters of the NSCF manual, which has been a highlight for me as I am learning more about the herbarium and the requirements of collection activities. The difficulty comes in when we discover the gaps in documentation. But, in the words of Albert Einstein, in the middle of difficulty lies opportunity.
Being a millennial, it is great to see the innovative editorial apps that should be used to edit specimen image files such as Lightroom and Photoshop Creative Cloud. For collection data management, almost all workflows are complete. I am currently reviewing the workflow documents to see where the KwaZulu-Natal herbarium does not meet the standards. The challenges: Bronze 8, which has slowed down data management processes, file storage as images are quite large, and adding metadata to imaged files.
For loans to be sent out, there should be a loan agreement form which is filled, and it's very important to handle loan specimens with care when handling them.
In the pageantry of collaboration, there are no losers. We all win by working and learning together towards a common goal, relying on each other's strengths and lifting the institution's flag high. Being a team is what got us here, and being a team is what will take us even further.
The main challenge to managing data in natural science institutions has been the lack of standards that can guide the development of policy and processes for data management. The purpose of reviewing these chapters is to propose such standards as well as policy and process guidelines for NSCF.
Sambi Herbaria offers plant identification service to both internal and external clients, whereby the client is given a form to fill in their contact details, the number of specimens that they brought to the herbarium, and their collection given a batch number for tracking. The collection is then taken into the dryer to ensure that it is thoroughly dried. From there to the deep freezer for 72 hours of decontamination to ensure that no insects escape into our herbarium. The collection is then taken through various processes. For thorough tracking of specimens, staff is periodically encouraged to keep all the various documentation of activities taking place in the herbarium. This documentation covers field trip notes, images, loan documents, health and safety reports to preserve and protect our collections at large. These documents are well and neatly kept and should be accessible by every staff member. Data capturing was previously done on Bram 7 along with the use of workflow and process charts pasted on various data capturers working stations. We are currently migrating from Bram 7 to Bram 8, where staff is being trained on the use of the new database. These trainings are to equip the staff with new knowledge and skills to enhance efficiency on the data management and furthermore to ensure that the stored data is correct and complete. The staff is also encouraged to highlight where they are facing challenges and difficulties, encouraged to share the skills amongst each other that no individual lacks or delays the overall data related work when using the new database. The trainings are also helpful to highlight areas of improvement to conform with the NSCF manual. Old records from previously captured databases are also revisited to ensure that correct information is transferred and stored into the new database. We verify the physical specimens against the data in the database. We verify localities. We perform data cleaning, georeferencing, and digitization of these specimens and to ensure that highest quality data is stored. We loan out our specimens of good quality to various institutes for research purposes. We keep good records of hard copies to track our incoming and outgoing specimen to these institutes. We keep records of number of specimens that have been sent. We also have description of such specimens that have been sent.
The work of implementing the manual continues, and soon, in the near future, we will be able to report tangible progress. We are also addressing the challenges through various policy reviews and SOPs. Till next time, thank you so much.
Hello everyone, my name is Kolwe Tubula from the Compton Herbarium, Kirstenbosch. I'll be talking about the implementation of Chapter 6 at the Compton Herbarium. 3 points I'll be talking about. 1. Physical visit to the collections, including the plant ID process. 2. Skills development program and tools. 3. The loan and digital access to the collection. Decision making of the implementation of Chapter 6 was made during COVID-19 lockdown, whereby there was a limited access to facilities. The decision was made by senior authorities of SANBI with the development of protocols and regulations for visitors to access Kirstenbosch Research Center. The protocols included permission to the KRC building, screening, the online screening, and the general rules. The visitors needed to request the visit in writing, which includes the students and the interns. When they apply to come in to visit the Compton Herbarium, they will be requested to provide the information that is needed for the tracing register and also for the visitors book so that they can be granted the permission to come to the herbarium. The strict and specific protocols were followed during the COVID-19 lockdown to avoid the spread of the virus, and some of these rules are followed for hygiene purposes, limitation to space and health and safety rules, and also to be able to access the collections. The plant ID request processes were similar, but the difference is that the plants will be dropped, specimens will be dropped at the Center of Biodiversity Conservation building. But before they drop off the specimens, the security at the CBS building will call the herbarium coordinator to come and collect the material, also to make sure that the client has all the necessary documentation that is needed to be able to do the plant ID request for them. There has been some unexpected walk-ins Those walk-ins are requested to sign the register, and they are made aware of the rules when they come to the building unexpectedly. Kirstenbosch Research Center has been running the annual skills development program for the new intake of students. Because of the COVID lockdown, we had to develop the virtual training videos, which are now helping annually, and they are also helping us when the various institutions are requesting for the herbarium visiting tours for the large intakes of the students. Then we give them that kind of videos because they are able to see the whole herbarium, and they're also given the information from the field to the herbarium cabinets. And so it's similar to what they are able to see when they come to the herbarium. The loan or request of the collection is done in writing and is sent to our curator or a scientist with the specific purpose of the request for the loan. A herbarium assistant designated for the loan processing then proceeds with the processes after that loan has been authorized by the curator or the scientist. There has been a new electronic loan system implemented whereby the specimens are sent in an image record form. Compton Herbarium has imaged about 85% of the collections and digitized about 50% of the collections, which will help with the digital access to the specimens. Access to digital collection is made in writing and is approved by the curator. Compton Herbarium has a very good and dedicated team that makes it easy to access the herbarium and the information needed on.
It has been quite a steep learning curve for most of us, with quite a number of added responsibilities for some of us. But I hopefully speak for all of us when I say the end goal is worth it. Therefore, we look forward to any and all critique and suggestions of support from either the Hub or other member institutions. We are of the firm belief that this can only help us grow. Thank you.
Welcome to the Dzong National Museum of Natural History. I am the curator of ornithology here at the Dzong National Museums of Natural History. Our museum is located in Pretoria Central in South Africa and is home to a number of important natural history collections. These include ornithology, herpetology, archaeozoology, Lepidoptera, general entomology, paleontology, coleoptera, small mammals, as well as large mammals. The famous specimen in our museum definitely has to be Mrs. Pless, which is the most complete skull of Australopithecus africanus found in South Africa. Our vision here at the museum is to create sustainable museums which is accessible to all. And today I will be taking you through our exhibitions where we share our collection work with the general public. I'll also be taking you into the background of the museum, our collections, where all the magic happens. And finally, we will be talking about the collection management course, which a number of our colleagues have been attending and implementing in their various collections.
Hi everyone, my name is Matlodi Fortunate Kabo. I'm a junior curator at the Natural History Museum. So I've been a collection manager for almost 2.5 years now, and I'm also an attendee for the collection management and conservation course. So we were given a manual, and for me personally, the manual came at a perfect time because that is when I just started with collection management. So it has been very helpful for me being able to refer and then just looking for help on what I can do or what I should do in collection management. And attending the course and then looking at other people's experiences and how they manage their collection, what it is that they do to care for their collection. So the manual combined with the help that I get from the staff at the museum that have been in the collection for the longest time has been very, very helpful for me.
Baywell is located in Gqeberha. This institution just turned 166 years old on the 3rd of September. Our research mainly focuses on hepatology and marine sciences.
Hello, my name is Sibu Mulana. I'm a collections manager at Baywell. Here's my team.
Hello, I'm Vanessa Isaacs, research and collections assistant at Baywell.
Hello, my name is Bianca Fareka. I'm a research assistant here at Baywell.
Hi, my name is Lihle Machiese. I'm a research intern here at Baywell.
Hi, my name is Someleze Bunze. I'm a research intern here at Baywell.
The Bill Branch Hepatology collection consists of reptiles and amphibians, which are mostly stored in 70% ethanol. Most of the specimens in this collection are stored in different size glass jars, and the big specimens are stored in the big blue drums. And on this other shelf, we have specimens that the curator is working on, different projects. We are also in the process of transferring all the specimens to 70% ethanol, as they were previously stored in propanol. We would like to thank the NSCF for buying us ethanol for this big project. And the curator of this collection is Werner Conradi. Greg Hofmeyer is the curator of the Graham Ross Marine Mammal collection. We have been busy with reorganization of the stores, auditing and relabeling boxes. So for the specimens in the bottom shelves in the store, we are working on getting caster wheels for easier access of these specimens. And lastly, one of our iconic specimens in the museum is the southern right whale that was harpooned in the Algoa Bay in 1902. It is the last whale that was harpooned just before whaling was stopped in the bay. That's it from Bay World Research. Thank you.
And that's everybody. It was quite an experience. I hope you guys will agree. My apologies to Sanby. I had to put a banner across there because there was a bit of watermarking on the video. So it covered a bit of essential information I see at some point. Sorry, folks. But yes, now you've seen a bit of an overview of what happens, some of the people involved in all the institutions who you all know well, and also how we're all loyal to our purpose in our various ways, and the amazing amount of talent that's available here. I mean, all busy people that somehow managed to put together all these videos with massively talented voiceovers and music and all that stuff. It's very impressive. But you've heard enough from me. I'm going to just hand over quickly because Sanby KZN has a bit of a quick message to us.
I'm the manager at the KwaZulu-Natal Herbarium, and I'm privileged to have this live spot today. So we would like the NSCF community to join us in celebrating our journey with the implementation of the manual at the KZN Herbarium. So colleagues, if you can grab your water bottles, and Fulu, will this qualify for an entry? Okay, so we want to show you that we are celebrating our journey from April this year with implementing the manual, and we've come quite a way. So our T-shirt is representing our progress. I would also like to offer gratitude to our team who make it very easy for us to flock together. And to Winston, who's taken up the challenge to lead the chapter implementation after Audrey kind of pushed us into monthly meetings. So thanks to Audrey as well. And thanks to Sene, who's always supportive and has moved the assignments, the collection management assignments forward. And within 6 months, we achieved a lot. Sene, thank you also for that awesome video.
Thank you, colleagues. That was absolutely amazing. And it was just such a perfect ending, a complete surprise to see that absolutely familiar image of that beloved manual on the screen. That was so amazing. So we are in that very, very difficult situation where it is now tea time. But we were really very keen for colleagues to also do a little reflection on this video. I think Des and Chanel, if I can just do an online consultation with you, I think we might have to let that reflection go and just let people enjoy their tea and let the video continue to play, all those images, all that music. Just let it continue to feed your soul while you go and feed your body with some nourishment. And then I think we will have some time today during the checkout. Our checkout session is quite a short session this afternoon, and we might have 10 or 15 minutes there where we will take some reflections on this morning's video. Looking the themes again, the future of collections and data management, showcasing our science, and then also looking toward the future together, cultivating young leaders for the NSCF and for the collections going forward. And then we will see you back in the main room. Go and enjoy a wonderful break. Thank you again to everybody for a absolutely mind-blowing, heart-opening morning together.
So we'd like to just hear a few comments from the different groups. Yeah, just a little bit of a taste of how it was in those sessions. Maybe what stood out for you, or a learning that landed with you from your session. So I think we're just going to take either comments in the chat, or you can speak. So whoever wants to go first, you can just unmute. Yes, or Ilse says, or a reflection on this morning's video as well. That would also be wonderful to hear from you. Okay, so either reflection on the video or on the parallel session that you just attended.
So my reflection will be a bit on the videos that were shown this morning, which also made me think that we have a lot of talent, because it seems like each institution had to put together their own videos and then had to be edited. But it seems like there's a lot of talent with this whole video thing going on. It really weaved through a good story of each institution, of what they're doing, the kind of issues they are facing, and it also shows that the issues that they have within each institution aligns well with the kind of problems they're trying to solve as an institution, as an amalgamation of all the institutions as NSCF. So that's good to see that as much as there are problems, they are not really out there. They are within the scope of what the issues we're trying to solve within all the institutions. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thanks, Mishlatse. Okay, let's hear from others. Please just unmute and share anything that stood out for you. Quite a few people have written in the chat.
Yeah. Hello, everyone.
Hi, Sifiso.
Yes. First of all, just want to apologize for not attending yesterday and this morning for a busy days recently, especially that I'm still finding myself some feet here at my new home. I didn't see the videos, but I've had some few comments from my colleagues that it was great, and thanks to everyone who did a wonderful job in compiling all those videos and the work that everyone is doing in all the institutes. It's awesome. And I think the talk that I've attended, I felt that I still need to have an input as well here, and especially on the workflow, data management workflow. I think that struck me, and I feel that we will talk with my line manager and see what we can do about it. And it sounds like a very interesting thing to do, especially the one that Christian was presenting. We don't have database for our small animal collections. We only have one for plant collection here at Moss Herbarium and Life Science Museum. So I think I might be convincing the zoological curator to speak to Ian regarding the specify and see if we can, as small as it is, but it's a great collection that might be useful.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Sifiso. Okay, anyone else? We can take one more. And I can see that people are very complimentary of the sessions in the chat. Yes, go ahead.
So I was hoping someone from our session would come up and talk. So if you are on the NSCF WhatsApp group, you'll see that we had fun in our session. So we had quite a bit of everything, because we had some inspiring story by Marinda, who spoke about the journey that she's taken in her career, and having to work or start working during the times when there was no internet, no Google to make things easy, and coming into an institution only being used to speaking in Afrikaans and having to really learn English on the job and all that. That was really inspiring. And we had a talk by Anne, who spoke about pollen and honey. And we also had Pumlani Gimi, who spoke about the kinds of edible plants that are, now I'm forgetting that word. Okay. Traditional wild vegetables that are edible. Yeah. Which was really interesting and informative. And then there was Bernard who spoke. So he gave a talk on fossilized feces, coprolite, and he gave this story, or a short story, about people who come into the collections. They pick it up, and because they don't know what it is, they'll ask, "What's this?" And they'll say, "It's a coprolite," and they're like, "Oh, that's interesting. What's a coprolite?" And then he'll tell them it's fossilized poo. They give it back and ask for the bathroom to go and wash their hands. So his entire talk was I was just laughing throughout. He was so funny. And I told him he made my day. So yeah.
Thanks, Fulu. Thank you. That was such a lovely story. Okay, I think we are, shall we move on to the last bit now? Ilse, I just want to check with you. Should we hear from some more? How's our time?
Maybe we can ask somebody from the leadership session just to say one thing, and I think then we would have heard from all three groups.
All the groups, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so anyone from the leadership group?
So there was a wonderful lady who gave feedback from the session, the breakaway session that we had. And basically what she was saying is how I used, the slides that you guys had given us to explain basically what was happening with us. So we discussed the different types of leadership that you have. There was a spider diagram: inspiring versus energizing, focusing versus grounding, challenging versus supportive, supporting. And it was lovely to hear at least two people that I heard outside of myself who said that they have supporting environments in terms of the workspace that they have. I spoke on how we have both. You get challenges and you also are supported. Then we discussed the framework for complexity leadership theory, which had administrative, adaptive, and enabling leaders, and how it was, explaining the difference between the three, how the one is basically focused on, all the bureaucracy, basically your formal type of bosses as we know them, and then the adaptive ones are the creative types, who don't necessarily act from an authority type of perspective, but they get people thinking, they get people doing things. And then you get the enablers who need to, basically operate between the two. So they are the ones that actually allow the creative people to come through. And so when you think of a leader, you shouldn't be only thinking of, boss busy dealing with admin and all of that and reports and that kind of a thing, that they can fall into any of those criteria, but that as a boss, you now yourself, where do you think your strengths lie? Are you somebody who's inspiring? Are you somebody who's challenging? Are you somebody who's supportive of their staff? And it's okay to lack in one area and be better in one, but just be conscious of it and work towards bettering yourself at all times.
Thank you. That was great. That was wonderful. Thanks, Sunny. Next time we'll let you facilitate that session. We'll just give you the slides. Okay. So yeah, that was really great. We had some fun as well. And I think we just all ran out of time. That was the main challenge. But hopefully it was useful and gave, you know, a sense of where the work is. You know, I think that's what people are saying, that now I need to go and speak to Ian or speak to so-and-so. I think it's really opened up that feeling of where the work is. So thank you, everyone. I think now we're going to go into the last bit. So I'm going to hand to Tanya. Tanya's going to just do a little closing exercise with us.
Thank you very much, Desiree, and thank you everyone for a wonderful session and participating. So throughout the session today, we've been hearing a mouthful from people like reflecting, but this time we would just like you guys to just share in one word your experience of the day. So I have pasted a link on the chats. Can you please look at that link and then go to Menti, just click on the link and go to Mentimeter and write in one word that describes your experience of the day.
Tanya, just to add, it doesn't have to be a single word. It can also be a short phrase. Am I right? It can also be a short phrase, 3 or so words. Yeah. And it can also be something about today that struck you. Anything about today, any couple of words or any phrase about today that struck you today.
Yes. So we're seeing words there: interesting, informative, inspiring, great, motivated, diversity, enjoyable, short, new faces, energizing, innovative, inspiring. The words are moving so fast. And adventure, exposure, humanizing, I like that, enlightened, good, grounding, exhilarating, collaborative. Well, there's so many words there, and it seems like all of the words that are coming through are positive, and we are very happy that everyone enjoyed and everyone gained something from this session. And I will hand back over to Desiree.
That's it for today. We are halfway through. So tomorrow we have some wonderful, exciting sessions lined up. Some of the sessions we'll be looking at is around transformation. There's lots of healing, self-care. We've got 2 guest facilitators joining us. So tomorrow is not a day to miss, please. It's a day that you shouldn't miss. So try to come from the very start. And we look forward to being with you. So enjoy your evening and go and teach your children some new words. Fulu. You can teach your kids some new words. And yes, we've sent some readings as well in our session. So you can take your reading into the evening and the afternoon and have a wonderful day. There's still half a day left. Maybe do some work or go for a walk after sitting all day. Ilse, any closing comments?
Mhlatsi is still wanting to know whether he's allowed to participate in the competition. He's still sore about that. Sfulu is reminding everybody that the competition closes today. And as one of the people one of the old baby boomers who got very anxious and nervous about the idea of counting likes, we argued for the creative category, where you don't have to be a social media fundi. You don't have to be somebody on social media. You could just be somebody who is maybe more introverted and who could maybe offer a creative picture. There's still some time to do that, but I think there's quite a lot of stiff competition from the team with their beautiful t-shirts. I think there's quite stiff. So I think that competition might be a little bit rigged at this point. But yes, there's still time for you to submit some of your pictures. And
I think Chanel is asking for us to stay on. Chanel, do you want to just tell us what to do? We want to take a group photo.
Oh, yes. Mklatse is insisting that the t-shirts don't count. He's insisting. He wants to be in there with a fair chance still.
So now tell us what to do.
Yes, so we'd like you to strike a pose with your water bottles. I wonder if you're going to be able to see it if you have a background on, something like that. And we're going to take a group screenshot. So just stay like that for about 30 seconds so that we can't see you all on screen. So we need to go through the screens to get screenshots, and I have my forum team helping me with that.
Bye.
See you tomorrow. Thank you. Thank you to Chanel and all the tech, everybody holding tech.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you for the surprises.